My redstone is broken, how do I fix it? Is a question that I receive all of the time on Twitter, in emails, in YouTube comments, pretty much everywhere. So hopefully this video is going to help you out. If you're building in survival mode or perhaps working in a really small space like just underneath a house or inside a wall, I'd suggest ditching all of that for the time being and developing the redstone contraption in some form of redstone testing world. That way you've got plenty of space to work with, and because you're in creative, you don't have to worry about resources. You've heard me say this one before, but use different colors for different redstone circuits. How many times do I have to say this? This is very confusing to look at. All it is a T flip-flop running into an AND gate, but you can't tell where each circuit begins and where each circuit ends. Whereas if it's all color-coded, you can clearly see this is an AND gate, this is the monostable circuit going around like this, and this is the circuit that powers the piston and runs the output into the AND gate. It makes troubleshooting so much easier. Now the next thing that you have to ask yourself, which once again I have mentioned before, is does your logic check out? Is your circuit actually going to function? And an easy way to test this is simply by laying it out with levers. For example, if I want to make a double piston extender, I know that I have to power this block, then unpower this block, and then power the middle block quickly to retract all of the blocks. 99% of the problems that I've faced with my redstone circuits is in the timings. You can see this thing is extremely broken, but perhaps if I play around with some of the repeaters, maybe set that one to 1 tick, we can see that, everything's working. Fiddle about with your repeaters, and trial and error is extremely important. The other 1% of problems are generally caused by these little fellas. Budded pistons. They're the bane of my life, but also they're some of the best things for redstone circuitry. They're incredibly useful. Now, one easy way to get around budded pistons, for example in this area, is just to replace the block that is causing the bud powering with a transparent block. So for example, that slab right there, that means that this guy is no longer going to be bud powered. Saves you a few headaches. When pistons receive a 1 tick pulse, they will spit out their blocks. Now this is fantastic, I use it all the time in my redstone circuit, but it isn't so fantastic when they do it without you expecting it. So look through your redstone circuit to see if any stray 1 tick pulses have caused your pistons to fire out the things they're holding. Here we have input number 1, here we have input number 2. Both of these circuits are meant to be separate, but clearly this repeater right here is powering this block, which is powering this redstone. That is obvious in this example, but in smaller, more compact and crazy redstone circuits, this sort of thing is easy to miss. And if you're wondering, the way that you'd fix it is just by swapping around the redstone and the repeater. Now we have no cross-powering between them. On the opposite end of the spectrum, it's important to look out for any redstone circuits or lines that you've accidentally cut off in the process of building your redstone circuit. This redstone right here isn't going to be able to make its way up onto there because this block has cut it off. When working with redstone torches, it's always important to look out for situations like this. Once again, we've had this redstone line right here, we're building our circuit around it, it's just a simple inverter which runs out to this repeater. We've added in this redstone line later on that goes right the way over the top, and at the minute it looks absolutely fine, but if we unpower this redstone line, we get ourselves a torch burnout clock, which not only burns out the torch, but also causes a lot of flashes through the redstone line. That will pretty much destroy any form of piston action you have going on. Make sure that you haven't created any self-powering circuit. So you've created like a redstone line and then you've run a circuit off that and you think to yourself, oh, you know, I need to add a pulse extender to this, so I'll just add in a little bit of delay right here, and when you test it out, it all works, but then when you turn it off, nothing seems to switch off, and that is because this redstone line right here is actually powering itself, causing a never-ending cycle of powering. Very easy to do, especially in slightly larger builds. Now this one is going to sound stupid, I can promise you that, but I have fallen for it more times than I can count. I've set up some form of circuit, it involves droppers and hoppers, for example this dropper hopper monostable circuit right here, and I'm activating the circuit and for some reason the monostable element just isn't working. The circuitry doesn't seem to be functioning in the slightest, and I can't work out why. I check if there's things powering it, which stops it from being activated. I check if, you know, it's getting pulses from somewhere or if the hopper's locked. I can't really work it out. And then I realize that actually I've forgotten to put the item inside the dropper. Then everything functions fine. I pull my hair out in situations like this. The same thing goes for things like cauldrons, chests, or any form of containers that you have in your circuit. I can promise you, if you have one, there's a chance that you've forgotten to fill it up, and that's causing your issues. This kind of falls into the same category as budded pistons, but you just have to remember that redstone has its quirks. you could do all of your logic perfectly and everything should be functioning, but due to things like this, in that the comparator isn't detecting the fact that our cauldron has moved, due to things like this, the circuit just could not be functioning, and you're just going to have to work around things like this. Make sure that you don't have any other redstone circuits powering the components that you're currently using. So for example, the Monostable Circuit right here works absolutely fine, but if this redstone circuit is powered, then unfortunately that hopper is going to get locked. And it can be so easy to miss this sort of thing. You're going to have like some redstone lines running over the top of one another, you think you're doing things really compactly, and you just completely skimp over the fact that that is actually going to power this. As I mentioned earlier on, 1-tick pulses are incredibly useful, and I use them in pretty much all of my redstone circuits to cause pistons to stick out their blocks. But the issue is that 1-tick pulses can occasionally be turned into slightly longer pulses if they go through repeaters with delay. So for example, if a 1-tick pulse enters this repeater, it will actually exit the repeater as a 3-tick pulse, which means that that piston is no longer going to spit out its block. So that is definitely something to watch out for. Make sure that your 1-tick pulses stay as 1-tick pulses when you want them to be 1-tick pulses. Make sure you take into account signal strength. For example, with this little dropper hopper monostable, we have just one non-stackable item on the inside, which means that the signal strength given off is just going to go one block. It's not going to reach this piston right here, so you're going to need to add in a repeater to make sure that it does actually reach that length. So now that we've gone through all of the common issues that often crop up in redstone circuits, if they're still not working and you still aren't able to fix things, then there's a number of different things that you can do. Number one is to build big. I know that all of my redstone circuits that I produce are pretty tightly compacted and don't have a lot of airspace on the inside of them. I can promise you that it's going to make your life considerably easier if you ditch the idea of creating a really compact redstone circuit and just make sure that it actually functions, because let's be honest, a functioning redstone circuit is better than a small one. Do your research, look into redstone terminology, make sure that you understand how components work, make sure you understand the difference between a repeater and a comparator, between a piston and a dispenser, and a hopper from your droppers and your floppers and your hadron colliders and everything like that. You need to know this stuff. If you're really struggling with a redstone contraption, make a copy of it, so then you can make drastic changes to the copy without losing all of the progress that you made on the original. You'll see I do this quite often throughout my redstone testing world. I basically hit a point where I can't go any further and I can't work out how to do it, so I make a copy and then I can rewire a bunch of stuff without worrying about losing loads of progress. I guess the more extreme version of this is starting afresh entirely, deciding that actually you're not even going to make a copy, the progress that you've made originally just isn't going anywhere, and you need to start again entirely. I would suggest doing this next to the original, just so you can take inspiration from things you think did well, but other than that, fresh starts are always good. And if you're really struggling with a redstone contraption, know when to take a break. You can look at something for hours upon hours without getting any inspiration. Leave the game, come back 3 days later. Most of the time you look straight at it and go, I've got the idea. If you have friends that work on redstone, ask them. Just invite them round to your house and say, look, if I make you dinner and I get you sweets from the shop, will you fix up my redstone contraption? And if they're nice, they will probably say yes. Unfortunately, I don't really have too many friends, so that option isn't really open to me. But if it's open to you, use it. And hey, if it still doesn't work, I think we all know what comes next. You just go into the search bar, or if you're playing survival mode, you are going to have to do a little bit of crafting here. You get some of that, and then you get some of this, and you just start placing it. Just kind of hold down the right click button for a little while. I think maybe that'll do it. You know what, I think maybe it needs more. Sometimes you just have to vent some anger, because redstone is one of those things that can be incredibly frustrating at times, and there's nothing better in Minecraft. Nothing relieves stress quite like blowing things up in Minecraft. Ignite, stand back, and watch as that redstone problem that you were having just disappears in front of your eyes. I mean, look, there's not a redstone problem anymore. We're not struggling in the slightest. So there we go. Hopefully that helps you out in times of crisis. Those are the things I would look for. Those are the solutions that I would suggest. And worst comes to worst, just blow it all up. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and by the way, check out the latest film on the filming channel. Just released it yesterday. It's awesome. I'm so happy with it.